Welcome back to Alice Customs Project Car TV. Today what I've got for you is a little side project to the flatbed, or project along with the flatbed. I apologize for the extra noise, by the way. It's the heater running in here because it's cold this time of year. So anyway, what I've got is the wiring process to convert my 2016 Dodge Ram regular taillights, just incandescent bulbs, to LED taillights. Now, I'm using the LEDs on the flatbed, but this would work with any LEDs, whether you wanted to convert to an aftermarket that just fit in your regular location, you wanted to just change out the bulbs to an LED, this would work. And the trick here is I'm not cutting any wires. I have figured out what plugs will fit the Dodge Ram, and it would be like 2013 to 2018, I believe, so that generation, and what parts you need to get it done. It's pretty simple, but I had to chase around and find some plugs that would work. So you're kind of going to be surprised what the plugs are, but they're available on Amazon and eBay. So let's get into it. I'll show you how to convert from incandescent bulbs to LED bulbs on your 2016 and that generation Dodge Ram pickups. Alright, so this is the end product of what we're trying to make, and these are the different plugs that plug into your Dodge harness. And in my case, the flatbed is a Bedrock brand, came with the male side to this plug, and it came with this plug when I bought it so that I could plug into it. So this just turns out to be a GT280 4-pin GT plug. Chevys use them. They're readily available online. You can buy just the housing, put your own pins in it, whatever you need. These pieces are resistors, and this is so that you fool the truck, the computers in the truck, to thinking that there's the same kind of load on it as there would be if you had incandescent bulbs. And then we've got 4 plugs, and really you can get away without running both of these, and you can get away without running the resistors if you don't mind getting a warning that you have taillights burned out every time you start your truck. And then these 2 3-pin plugs, these are what plug into your taillights, on the taillight harness on the truck, and send the signal to the bed. Okay, so let's start with the plugs that plug into your truck harness. And it's a 3-pin plug. It's the male side, the truck is the female. And what it is a male extension plug for a 9008 or H13 headlight. Get on eBay, search out male pigtail extension 9008 H13 harness, headlight harness, and you're going to get this plug with about 10 inches of wire, maybe 8 inches of wire on it. And the only thing that keeps it from plugging directly into your truck is there's going to be some tabs on here that are to align it for the headlight. Well, we're going to cut those off. I just took a razor blade, trimmed them off. I took a little piece of a file and just cleaned them up. Did the same thing to the other one, and now they will plug directly into your harness on your pickup. And then what I plan to do is just use, once I get it plugged in, I'm just going to use a small zip tie and thread it between the wires and clip it, because there's no locking mechanism for it. We'll go over wire colors here in a minute. Now the other 2 small ones, these are even funnier. These are fuel injector wires. Now this side is the male side again, which represents the actual fuel injector. So what you've got to buy is a fuel injector adapter. Now this adapter adapts from an EV6 to an EV14 injector. So the idea is you're swapping out your EV6s for EV14s, and it's going to give you the male side harness to a female EV14. Anyway, the important thing here is this plugs straight into the reverse lights on your pickup. So EV6 male side fuel injector plug to plug into your truck. So the kit I found on eBay came with 4 of them. I just cut off the one side. That gave me a little bit of wire. Then I worked that into my harness. Now I went ahead and did them both just so I could fill both of those plugs on the truck so they're not getting full of dirt or anything like that. The next thing you're going to need, and this came in a bag of 10, so you get way more than you need, but you're going to need some of these resistors. Now this is just a 50 watt LED resistor, and it's 50 watt. The part is 6RJ is the model, but this just is what makes the computer think you have regular bulbs in your truck. And you've got 2 wires here. So on your truck, you're going to have the positive signal lead. So this is sending the signal to the taillight, and you're going to have a ground, and this one's going to go to the positive side of your bulb. This goes back to the negative, and that would light up. If it was an incandescent bulb, that would light up the signal. Because we're going to use an LED, which would actually be drawn as a diode. We need to put an extra load on that signal. So what we're going to do is run one of these into the positive side and one into the negative side. And that's going to create the load as if it was a regular incandescent bulb, and allow the LEDs will light up either way, whether this is in there or not. All this does is keep it on the brake light. It keeps you from getting a signal that you have a burned out tail light bulb. On the blinker, it keeps it from doing the fast flash. You need one for each blinker and brake light, because that's the same. On the Dodge, it's a 3-wire system. You got a ground, a blinker brake, and a running light. So one for each blinker brake, one for the running light, and one for the reverse lights. The running light and reverse lights, again, all it's doing is keeping you from getting a signal that you have a burned out bulb. So once you've done that, and then I did all this on my harness side. Now these get hot. They're building up heat because you're creating a resistance between the positive and negative. So I mounted them on a piece of aluminum plate that I had, just a piece of scrap, and I'm going to mount this up underneath the frame of the truck, where it's kind of out of the weather a little bit, but completely hidden and protected. Now guys, I've already taken all the wires here and kind of rerouted them so that everything was in clean area and kind of all bundled up together. I zip tied everything back on. And what we have are the 2 tail light plugs. So one of these would have been on one side, one on the other, going up to the tail lights. We have the 2 reverse light plugs, again, one on each side. We have a plug that goes to the backup sensors, and I took those out of my factory bumper and have mounted them into the flatbed, and just reusing the stock harness. No changes there, just dismounting and remounting that. We have a plug that's hidden back under here, and usually it comes in underneath the bed and to the tailgate, and then this piece that's got the hard plastic in it is inside your tailgate. So I stole that out of the tailgate. I bought a new short harness here, and this harness plugs into the camera for the backup camera and plugs into the lock for the latches for the tailgate latch. So we're not going to be using that one. It'll get bundled up. I bought a new camera off of eBay. It was $40, so I wouldn't have to tear that out of my tailgate. But this harness, they wanted over $100, and you already have one in the tailgate. I just wasn't going to buy another one. And then this plug plugs straight into the plug that was already on the flatbed, so didn't have to change anything there. So this is pretty simple to swap over. The part we're concerned with are these 4 plugs, because this is your taillights, and this is what we need to plug into to make our system work off of LEDs. And so what we have is these plugs here are going to plug straight into the reverse lights, and then this headlight harness is going to plug into the taillights, and it all functions. Now, you've got some wires in here that are colored. So on the left-hand side, driver's side, you've got a black wire, a white wire with a blue stripe, and a solid white wire. The black wire is your ground. The white wire with blue stripe, it's in both sides. So pretty much tells us right there that that is the running lights. And then the solid white wire on the left side, and a white wire with a green stripe on the right side. Those are the brake and blinkers. And so you're just going to plug them in here. Now you can see I left these a little bit different length, and that correlates to I left the plugs on the harness, on my new harness, different lengths, just so it'd be easy to figure out which one plugs into where. The two running reverse lights, they don't matter, and again, you could get away with just using one of them. You would just get a signal that one of them is burned out. So I went ahead and hooked them both up. What else do you need to know? That's kind of it. It's a very simple process. You saw quickly how you wire in. You just, doesn't matter which side of this resistor goes to the positive wire coming out of the truck. So I'm not doing it on the truck side. I'm doing it on my new harness side. Oh, good, the heater just kicked off. So I'm not doing it on the truck side because I don't want to cut any of these wires. I'm doing it on the harness side. Now, as a correlation, we talked about the colors of wires coming out of the truck. You've got a white, a black, and a red on these headlight harnesses that we're using for the taillights. On these, the white is the ground. The black is your running lights. The red is that side's brake and blinker light. And this is true for pretty much all the Dodges. They all had that 3-wire system, at least for this generation, around the 2016 time frame. This gets mounted right up underneath here. I've already drilled some holes. This will all be hidden. These plug into the different plugs here on the harness, and then my bed plugs in here. Everything works. And I've already tested it, so I know it does work. And let's see, what else do you need? Prices. Let's get you some numbers. A bag of 10 resistors, so you can do your truck and a buddy's truck. That's $12.94 on eBay. We had to buy, quantity came in, you could buy them in singles or you could buy them 4s or 8s. So I bought 4. We're only using 2. Again, you could do a buddy's truck now. That's $14.98 for the 4 fuel injector plugs that you need. And then the 2 headlight plugs, multiple places had these. So 2 of these are $9.20. So you're about $30 into everything you need to make your harness. This is just a piece of scrap aluminum. You could use steel. You could bolt these right to the inside of your frame rail here. Whatever makes it good for you. You just want these on some kind of metal because they are going to get hot and you want to dissipate that heat. Don't wrap them up inside the harness tight. It's just going to cause problems because it's going to melt something. That's it. It's a very simple process. Things you're going to need to make the job easy. Get you some good wire strippers. I don't care whether it's this style or this style where it's the automatic. I prefer these for most cases. Going to need an X-Acto knife, a razor blade knife, a good sharp pocket knife to trim the tabs off the headlight plugs. I used some plastic wire loom just to kind of hide things, clean it up a little bit. I love these things. These are a heat shrink butt connector, but the nice thing about them is they have a little bit of solder in the dead center. You can see that gray part in the center, that's solder. So the way I like to do it, and I'm just going to use this as an example, you've got 2 wires that you're trying to join together, right? So I like to take this is too big for this wire size. I like to slide it on further than it needs to go. Then I join my wires, you twist them, you braid them, whatever technique you like to use. And then I run the butt connector back over them to where my solder is centered over the joint that I've made. And then I just use a heat gun. You could use a lighter or a little butane torch, whatever works for you, to heat that up. You just heat it up. The plastic shrinks around it so it makes a nice watertight seal, and the solder melts, and you're done. So makes for a nice quick connection. Here's one that I did on my reverse lights. Oh, and I've got some up here. You can see some of the others where I was joining multiple wires together. Doesn't particularly look real pretty, but it's all completely hidden and very functional. Now, I just looked it up. 2009 to 2018 is the Gen 4 truck like I have. So I know for sure we'll work on that generation, Gen 4, so 2009 to 2018. it only works on the trucks that came with the incandescent bulbs, which was most of them. It's like the upper line or some of the specialty trucks that had LED taillights already. This would work. If you go out to the junkyard and you see a set of the original OEM taillights and you want to use them, you can use these same connectors to plug into your truck, get the taillights and the pigtail that comes with, or have them cut you a pigtail off of the truck harness that you're taking the taillights out of, throw some resistors in line, and you're good to go. Now, I am going to tell you this. There is 2 other ways that it's possible to tell the computer that you have LED taillights. This way tricks the computer. There's another way that I haven't found the wire, but there's supposedly a green wire up under the hood on the driver's side near the battery. I haven't found it. I looked a little bit. I just gave up and moved on to a process that I know would work. But you can go in there and ground that wire, and that tells the system, I guess it puts enough resistance into the system, that you're running LED taillights. So if you were to have a truck that had the LED taillights, apparently that wire would be grounded. Or there is a third way, and that is you can get a software system where basically a computer, you plug it into your OBD2 port, you talk to the computer, you go in and tell the system that you're running the OEM taillights, and it just does a software fix. I've looked at what that's going to cost. The software is not very expensive for it. You do need a laptop, you need the software, and you need some way to plug into your truck from the laptop. So I'll probably be researching that because there are some other things you can do with that software, including be able to add some upfitter switches to your dash right below like where the trailer brake system is, and where your backup camera or backup sensor buttons are. And you can basically add another row of switches there and use then those switches to turn on lights or run a winch in and out or multiple other features. So I'm going to look for that software solution. So we may come back and revisit this and talk about, hey, you don't have to have the resistors if you have that software package, because then you could go in and tell the computer what you're doing. But for now, we're doing it the hardware way, and we're just going to fool the computer. Works great. It'll last probably as long as you're ever going to own the truck, but the only thing that could burn out are these resistors could get too hot and you'd have to replace them. But like I said, you get 10 of them for $12. So worst case, you got to come in here, replace a resistor some point in your life. Before I have to replace one of these resistors, I will have figured out the software solution, and we'll be talking about that at another time. So for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all the other YouTube stuff. And I'll be back with you with more on the flatbed or on the C10 pickup coming soon. So talk to you then.